Так, ну что ж, всем привет. Мы продолжаем проходить основного сюжета Genshin. Скорее всего, это будет последняя серия, но неизвестно. Так что да, приступим. Как я... А, вот и...
That's Farina, right over there. She really is here all...
Should I just give up? This is all. What was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone's dead. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point. No. I'm sorry. But what can I even do? Other than to repeat meaningless apologies over. Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina, it's just us.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land.
Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you?
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were? Disturbed they even dare to tout their Archon? I must teach them a lesson. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Marish Chaussee Phantom are freaking out right next to them too. Of course.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some rabid fans who want to cut the line because they haven't been able to meet me in person, aren't they?
Да, конечно.
That's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
Так.
Farina just ran off. Quick, we have to catch up with her.
Да. И побежали. Давайте таги аут. Испарились. Как всегда. А, блять.
This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of...
What?
Hurry, they're almost here!
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted.
Я вообще разумно, видите меня, сука. Да, ты разумная, прям. Прикрываешь, блядь, свои камни. Ух ты, еба. Прикольное место.
No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed. You're right.
Yep, that's a good girl.
Походу снова будет это.
What's happening? The ground's shaking.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding and...
It can't be. It's happening again.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Nouvellette's made some emergency plans, so the evacuate...
Yeah. I hope that the people of Poisson, they've already... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues and feeding information. I've tried all kinds of ways too to hold back the sea. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would mean finally, indeed. I've thought about giving up so many times. Especially at fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no, but just now, it all became clear to me. I still don't, as long as the final moment hasn't come, don't worry. I will keep hope alive for every... Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the whims of trivial prophecy?
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually being honest.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone. A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, if...
Ни хрена себе магия, блядь. Это я
Ladies
понимаю.
and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
Нихуя себе. Вот это начало.
So, this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took. Do not forget, however, that I am Fosalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of...
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it. She...
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surrender to a human?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Farina, what is the...
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding.
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my... I will admit that I've been running away for a long... I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. But now, it is time for the Hydro Archont. I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the truth. This time, I applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to... Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine. The trial of the Hydra... Woohoo! Oh, now we're making history.
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? fun! Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking this serious.
All right, then. Who will be my...
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial, just how much work did you do to force me onto this?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina di Rosula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely... So, we arranged for a second.
So, you mean... the ones who scoured the set...
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest
That's right. That house was a magic box.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epic, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Arenes. Was an Archon instead of... My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an...
You're welcome.
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water. It was a...
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant...
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a...
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion...
Thank you.
As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived on... Oh? Is that so? It's fine. It matters not. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the...
Зашибись.
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her, it should speed up the proceedings.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte! Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this the exclusive interview that Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since. So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey as evidence for an argument. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, all right?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duel you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, all right. I didn't think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following all this time. This is the first time Monsieur Nervilette had a difference of opinion with the oratories.
Even the Hydro Archon can't figure a Fatui Harbinger. She's an extraordinary person. The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a single day. According to Monsieur Neuvillette, both Child and that whale should have been in the primordial sea at that time. I nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. To be honest, that still gives me shivers. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only be truly understood when something surreal happens to you.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Neuvillette. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress, of course. It is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the action.
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking our duty, but...
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything.
Yeah, even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. There would be no... See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making...
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? You have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also overturn...
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, and if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?
Ничего, не своим.
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And
who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble, but in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Neuvillette?
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell you.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying... Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can... For centuries, manifestations of my authority have... One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider the end...
You tried to reference the Oratrice, but But weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared—
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are natural.
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstance. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all. You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold
I never thought you'd use that kind—
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated—
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned—
The real Hydro Archon. Well, now you're It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice— but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And you can't argue that just because a divine creation is—
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary—
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield—
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy—
Isn't that?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god—
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's
Hey, come now, everyone! Please don't— I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one, please.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a—
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And then all of our aunts?
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is? If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can—
Wow, she came up with yet another argument!
Только это.
That doesn't sound right.
Окей. Это тоже, наверное. Это что-то.
It has been established that all Fontanians can—
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate—
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in—
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear now. I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, taking many lives, including those of some of my— So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of this seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching the seawater would have no effect on you. All it should do is strengthen your case. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us, which—
Все, пизда.
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution, as it falls outside the realm of
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is...
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really planning to...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may...
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon—
Miss Siegewin? If you're present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward and
Siegewin?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial seawater.
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Farina, you may...
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that—
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of this. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, we don't want anyone else to lose their life.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked—
It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Farina could have— I can't believe— You— Listen to me, everyone. Please don't give me such cold and disdainful look. Think about it. How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't— Also, if I was really just a human, why would— Please, anyone, just listen to me. I swear, I really am your Archon.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just—
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think—
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is guilty.
Да, пиздец.
We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges.
Да.
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, Farina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: the Hydro Archon, guilty. To be punished via the
Что?
death sentence.
Нихуя себе.
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court. And it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice.
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the serious.
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah, even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also, but now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon.
Она гидра Архонта или нет, блять? Интересно. Пиздец какой-то, конечно.
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it.
Mm-hmm. Any mission, Father.
Is that the first prophecy slate?
Что это?
Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. But has the trial already concluded? Then doesn't that mean I've come too late?
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left.
Я походу понял. Типа гидра Архонт настоящий сделал обычного человека себе типа помощник. И помощник, скорее всего, так понял, это Фумин. Так что по сути она скорее, если это так, то по сути Фумина все-таки гидра Архонт, если это все-таки это пророчество.
Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates. We'd like you to come.
Мне кажется, так должно работать. Типа главный Архонт.
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Подожди, типа. Ох, ёпта. То есть раньше был Фонтейн, типа, из океанидов. Но гидра Архонт их делал обычными людьми. Но они, типа, не обычные люди, а наполовину океанид, наполовину человек. Походу.
Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina, and we've already proven that she's not the Hydro Archon. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kind of...
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates.
Ты поймешь, что будет происходить. Выберите последнее.
The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power. Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still brought This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the original sin and the Hydro Archon sin are the same thing? The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so on.
Да.
We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was...
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontaine and the first stone slate tells us that long ago, the Hydro Archon. This might be the reason that Fontainians can dissolve.
Ну тут хз.
That doesn't sound quite...
Окей.
That doesn't...
Да я чё ебу, блядь. Да похуй, Вилсон. Вилсон, нахуй.
Perhaps what is about to take place has all happened. The true sin of the Hydro Archon that Nervalette mentioned, and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia. It's not as simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the sea, the stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. Could that be alluding to the same thing? The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause... If we hadn't dealt with it in time, things could have gone...
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea, but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the... The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps this means that her sin was actually Fontaine's original sin. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her conscience. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass. The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, loads of truths should come to light. Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now, but then it feels like...
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny,
We're not real humans.
All Fontainians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their base. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontainians could dissolve in primordial seawater. And how all the... Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial. All of them in the shape of Oceanids.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably anchored Celestia by creating humans without prior permission. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the opera.
Yeah! Isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the fourth slate? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already... However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional... When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded with...
Так, и что же мы узнаем?
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try... Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both correct. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to be... However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the seven, did not want to give in. She eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would... Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
Вот эта история, это мне даже нравится.
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single... Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
Ну, по сути, да, это кто-то попадает. Нихуя тогда ее винить.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontanian, but...
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes... You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by... Therefore, the meaning of that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice.
За что? То, что она это сделала, зачем?
Yes, it refers to our...
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as...
What should we do?
No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also...
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions about the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meripede served as the surest... However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, That eruption could in fact only be... As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the...
It was both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin, the trial, and the root cause of the...
Section.
How did that thing just burst into the opera house? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it is chosen. That whale does not belong to Teyvat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the... And once it has finished consuming all of the energy
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels with primordial sea...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again once it's managed to recover?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it is even if the entirety of Teyvat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off.
That's not something I will We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle...
Indeed. That's not how a grand performance
I'll fight it to the end. No matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh? The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future.
What's happening with the aura trees?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
Что за пиздец? Бля. Это типа казнь такая, блин. Веселая, как всегда. То есть это не Фурина?
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
Ты чё, как с Тахидой, типа, блядь, две Архонта, блядь, типа в одной, что ли?
You are not Farina. Who are you?
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success.
Fusalo. Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too. The heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be... One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria, for she knew full well that the prophecy would and as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly... So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I had to outwit the heavenly principles. Allow the prophecy to... I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor.
Блять, или пойму. Если гений, так... Блять, вообще допутно, нахуй. Так Вакалорос, блять, это Фурина или... Блять, хуй поебешь.
Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duty... But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this. Anymore.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit. leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina.
То есть Фарина это все-таки Архонт. Ну только можно сказать нихуя не Архонт, но Архонт. Ой, блядь, хуй запутано.
She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the...
То есть вот почему так долго живем.
Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure. It must have been torture for her.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful.
Что, сейчас будет казнь, что ли? Даже интересно делать. Что станет с Фариной? Фарида, как всегда. Ох, как весело. Сидит весь все. Блять, сейчас же яйцо. Сука. Забраться же нельзя, да? Нельзя. Лестница. А, это прожектор, я думаю. Да.
Oh, who permitted you to come onto this stage? Now, I understand your admiration for my august self. All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not distract me from... Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. I must at all...
Там написано погасить свет. Ну да.
Dear audience,
Что?
the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Что-то, мне кажется, я не выжил.
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Race to the wicked!
Minute to memory. Everyone hold hands.
Strike them up!
Let's stay free a little.
Блять, если я с котом буду пиздиться, то у меня же слабая фурина, что ждет? Мне, скорее всего, придется менять отряд. А, блять, типа на выступление. А, нельзя ничего делать.
Farina.
Это Лакалорс, наверное, разговаривается.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid.
Да.
I am before you.
Wait a moment. You're near me? How can this be?
А, она даже выше, чем Лакал. Ой, блять,
Mirror you, huh? You know what? That's not bad.
Mirror me. What do you wish to say?
Так у них еще и глаза даже разные, блять, типа на другом углу.
The
Ну, стороне,
prophecy.
типа.
Have you heard?
What prophecy? Wait. The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon.
Oh.
What's going on? I can't seem to remember.
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. Does that...
But doesn't that mean everyone will die? I'm a Fontaine.
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world. I will tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to suffer somewhat.
Oh, so there's still hope after all. As for the suffering, well, but if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway, right? So if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side, and my pain on the other, is it not obvious?
You truly are the perfect human. My ideal. I suppose this would also be the justice that...
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. I need you to
Play as...
That's right. You must begin a never-ending... If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying...
But how will I do this? A human assuming the...
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real god. You simply being a human yourself, I'm sure you already know what such an... Remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity.
I'm still not sure I understand. So, how long am I going
to accomplish this mission? You will have to stay on the stage for many, but I promise you, all will of
trial? Huh. The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession. But what should I say to most appear like a god? To be... ladies and gentlemen, good evening! And I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. Indeed, I am Farine. In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god. But it will be my honor as the god Focalor, the god of justice. I shall do all within my... Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or suggestions, this should do it. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully, I was able to
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What's the difference?
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being a fake? Right. Mirmi said that I just need to play the role. Calm down, Farina. Think. Assertive, with a strong sense of presence. Oh, now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage. Well, it seems that you would all see right through them. Having passed my test, you are qualified. You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was a debut. Now then, let us be
so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside?
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
Да, очень хорошая, блять, конечно, с пророчеством.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart my accession speech. My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, we have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say that justice is most fragrant when it blooms. No, this won't work. They'll suspect me again. I must play the role that they want me to play. The scales of justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its god. May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us light the fires. There is no trouble in this world that justice cannot solve. So long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within the Opera Epiclese, so long...
Да. Ой, бегать нужно.
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now. Was I not just at the Opera House in person? Besides, none of these trials were the one that I'm looking for.
If I may be so impertinent, what—
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial.
That's true, I fear I lack the ability to grasp your divine thought.
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, do your—
То есть сам Архонт этого ждал.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of— Oh, I'm afraid that— All right. Deoteria, is it? How is your—
You remembered me. He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than I.
Oh, good. Very good. If this should happen again—
You're such a gentle and wise god.
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters you asked—
I see. It's as I thought then. As your god, I did already expect this. All manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come to pass.
Well, as I understand it, the Fontaine Research Institute is also—
Really? Have they found anything?
I'm afraid that they haven't found any—
Oh, is that so? Well, no wonder. This issue has The day is finally over. I haven't, but it's good to see that everything's getting on track. Maybe this is fine. I just need to keep— All right, Farina, don't—
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary of the follow-up.
There'll be no need for that. I've seen them already.
Lady Farina, I've waited so long.
Indeed, my dear, loyal citizen.
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near Post—
Understood. Keep monitoring. Keep me—
То есть ей уже это заебало.
I don't think I let anything slip today. I must
Это
show
как
the people that there is nothing to worry about.
Это как с Тахидой, походу, было. Такая, по-моему, история была.
I just don't know when I feel utterly exhausted.
Да, как с Тахидой, только по-другому. Пиздец.
Lady Farina, it's like a dream being able to speak with you up close. I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience with you was Madame Deoteria.
And what a fine family yours is indeed.
Surely.
What is it, good citizen?
Are you crying?
Все.
Oh, really now? This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the...
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of your power, then. Oh,
So interminable. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. I never imagined. But have I reached my limit? No. Perhaps I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. I've conducted so many investigations across the centuries. All I can do is keep heart. I must.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone. Your people are more...
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still choose to confide in someone. Just share it with me.
A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show... If... He's right. I could confide in him, couldn't I? But if things don't play out as expected... No, Farina. You should... But what if... Farina, you've worked so hard for so... Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? To find... If you let this opportunity slip through your fingers, think about it. Long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. I am free. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my performance.
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Да, пиздец.
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must... She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these it seems that trusting humanity was...
I believe that I understand how your deception works. How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine?
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the... I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple...
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human... It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along. Am I right?
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem... Alas, your understanding of this... In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the god of justice. Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take down the god of justice... I mean... Did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose? My work over these last 500 years has... But really, Some have already discovered that only a small the vast majority has been, had to be.
It was all a part of your plan, then?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontanians for millennia, had it only been used for that purpose. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archons.
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne, if I do not misunderstand.
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet.
But...
No,
Она сейчас
what?
саму...
Getting sad again, are we?
Что, она ему вернет этот
The
бог?
authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
all you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea. And the heavenly principle stole the power you ancient dragons possess. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you? Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the process of pursuing human... So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the in other words, existence was Egeria's justice, defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's at this point. We, whether it be Udex Nervilette, the highest judge in our land, when you regain your full power as an elemental sovereign, what verdict shall you...
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Udex, I see now that that was your idea too. At last. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between us. And I have even attempted to feel like you are a devious one, Focalor. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
Пиздец. Чё, что будут казнить? Да.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervilette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Judex Nuvelet, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
Да, пиздец.
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a feeling.
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved, I assume.
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment.
Didn't you say just a moment ago that—
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out justice. The root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come.
Да. Блять, дайте поменять этот отряд, дайте поменять. Блять, лучше бы мне отряд поменять.
How are you going to do that? It's huge!
I've already done my best to separate the power of the primordials. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless I can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient dragon. I shall look for an opening together.
Я ему, бля, даже ничего не делаю.
The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself.
Как же это эпично выглядит? Пиздец, нихуя себе звук. Что делать-то?
I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.
Я его не убью, блять.
The might of the primordial sea.
Собственно, музон не мой.
I see everything. Look alive.
Куда? Какой-то бустер.
With the cleanup. It should have been my job, but oh well. It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling in the meantime.
Питонский, вот это я понимаю.
Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point, but they bumped into one another earlier than I thought. What a blunder. I suppose.
That power.
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's master. It's just that he gave us the impression that she was, less talkative.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand, managed to defeat the all-devouring Nar, so you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to raise an all-devouring. That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you might have...
The point being?
Well, being that this pet almost just... So what sort of person is your master? Well, Child's master's master. Wait, is that right?
Oh, right. So you don't know him. His name is Sertologi.
Huh?
I am unfamiliar with that name.
Huh. So Master isn't sufficiently famous.
The Foul?
Mundane Slaves? Как его зовут?
Still nothing? Well, how about the Visionary?
Ooh, that one we've heard. Rhine Doctor's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names, but I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rhine Daughter.
Wait, didn't you also mention a visionary person?
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep. As such, the fontaine back on the surface has most likely been thrown into... In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has already managed to deceive the heavenly...
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Farina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Initiate emergency rescue! Hurry!
Hey, lend a hand!
Look! The water's receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
Are you alright?
Yeah.
We're saved. The prophecy was wrong.
Да я понимаю сюжет, блять.
The soul renewed. The Spirity Rasula attacks post-disaster rebuilding. I recently visited Poisson to meet with Miss Navia. Smell old soil can still give birth to new bloom, Miss Navia stated. Hope is like seeing a small skyship winglet. Lunar brain of the Fontaine Research Institute. The various disputes that have arisen on account of Mr. Edwin have suddenly become a shield over the Institute, which your people always call the first researcher mad, but few know what to call the second. And should that latter person achieve a miracle... Wow! Paimon barely recognizes the people in the reports. Are those really Jurier and Navia? They sound like real big shots.
What do you think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The Steambird's idea was pretty simple. With a disaster, the value for these big scoops lies in their inevitable follow-ups. We'll publish further reports and go into the stories behind those people. Edwin's assistant, Jurier, created a true flying ship, while Navia is leading people in the reconstruction of their home. I'm sure that these stories...
Paimon's curious too! Wait a minute. Didn't we watch everything happen from start?
And that's exactly why I'd like you to come conduct interviews with me. You're the best incubators of news, if you haven't noticed.
Are you sure? Hasn't he turned you down several...
Oh, this time will be different. Come on! Let's head to Poisson first, and then make a trip to the fortress.
Куда? Так, ну сюжет, наверное, скоро закончится, так что давайте быстренько заканчиваем. Ну да, сюжет, отличие от других сюжеток, именно энергия в пиздец отличается. Мне нравится. О, Фатуя? Да, Фатуя играл.
Navia! Oh, it's you. What the...
Hey, we're just having a look around.
I'm here to update myself on how things are going here. Oh, the
let me introduce you. This is Mr. Garunt Snezhevich. He represented the Knave, and our residents are hard at work as well. Thanks to everyone, work is progressing nicely.
Hello, Miss Charlotte. I'm a big fan of yours. I especially like that article you wrote last year about Fontaine's stray cat. But if you don't mind, Could you not emphasize our role too much in your report? It's not charity we're doing here. We just happen to
I get where you're coming from. I'll keep it as simple as possible. Or would you be willing to feature as friendly neighbors?
That would be fine. Thanks.
Oh, you're back too. How are things?
We finished laying down the construction materials. It'll be another...
Huh? You're here?
Well, her reputation's greatly risen after that whole duel business with Miss Farina. So she's here in Poisson.
There's too much to consider in the reconstruction of Poisson. The Spina has need of more decision makers.
Oh, wait just a moment. Do you mind me asking a few questions? You know, about how you felt before the duel?
Forget it. I'm sure you can find a better theme than...
I see you're the same as always.
Well, if we're talking about doing things for my sake, you might as well just take a few more photos of me.
Or, of course I will. I'm not gonna let him off that easy. All right, then everyone who wants to be in the...
How did it go? Was it a good shot?
Not bad. Your addition really helped the composition of the picture. Oh, hang on a moment. Let me snap a few more shots.
Все началось. Фотканье.
All right, that should do it. I'll be back here later anyway, so let's call it a day.
You're very quick.
Speed is of the essence when it comes to the news. Also, not to brag, but I'm pretty good at building connections. Who knows? I might eventually get...
Wow, you really do have that never...
I'll hazard a guess that this is how you got that interview at the Fortress of Meripede.
Whoa, you're well informed.
That's a very complete...
In truth, all Monsieur Neuvillette asked me was, when did the fort... I told him that it was best not to speak too soon. There's no guarantee.
You're right. I've got to treasure every moment I have with them. In which case, I'll be making a...
Stay safe now. And tell me if you hear anything...
Куда дальше? Дальше в этом. Ой, как же... Вот он текст. Даже плюс 5.
Wow, guess we're here again, huh? There's a real nostalgic feel.
Looks like you've been missing us.
Dude, did you come all the way to the...
Of course. I'm here to welcome you and our dear Miss Charlotte, whom are...
It's an honor to finally meet the much-rumored Duke. Thank you for consenting to my...
No need to thank me. But that said, I shouldn't be the focus of your interview. I trust you recall...
Of course, of course.
All right then, this way.
Hey, no need to be so nervous. Miss Charlotte.
It would seem that Miss Lorvine doesn't want her face to appear beside that of Miss...
Sir, please don't say things like...
But it looks like dear Mr. Jurier denies it. Might this interview...
No, I just... This is my friend...
Now, I might not look it, but I actually did meet Mr. Edwin once. And I'll be honest, I enjoyed the boat that brought about a miracle, the ark that saved the people. Why, you recreated a myth back there. Still, if I might ask, where's that flying ship now?
Huh. Looks like Charlotte's trying to get herself another...
I have to apologize, but that ship is presently in the bowels of our factory.
Really? Well then in that case, could I have an interview with...
You already know my answer, I'm afraid. Best you interview our head nurse instead. Or perhaps you'd like to take another photo of this...
Did you really have to use the word couple? Well then, two solo...
Is my hair messed up? Please, someone help me have a look.
Things sure are getting pretty lively here. Oh, seems like everyone's here. Would any of you like to try?
Ah, Sigewinne.
Hey, Miss Charlotte. Why don't... sure. Come on, Miss Sigewinne. Over this way.
Huh? Sure. Do I have to smile? So, how have things been at the front?
Same old, as you can see. Fontaine's undergone...
Other than that flying ship, I got a tad too much attention.
That's why I decided to let the interview go through. We should direct more public opinions toward the...
You're too kind, sir. I believe that you too should have your...
I'll just leave the spot. I see. Lots of things happened that day, huh? Anyway, regarding that Harbinger, I'm not sure you remember.
He sure did win them up.
I'll tell them that there's good news and bad news. The good being that their boss seems fine.
Oh, actually, what about...
What change can there be? The fortress will keep chugging along. As to what Miss Farina's departure will mean for the nation, and if our laws and governance will be transformed, we'll leave those to the folks in...
Hey everyone, the photo shoot's done.
Good. In that case, let's call it a day here.
Thanks for your cooperation. Come on, Traveler, let's go.
There'll be a next time?
Maybe. Who knows? I might write a story about the underwater factory next time. All right. Last stop, the docks.
Порт, тут. Да, тут. Так, давай-ка похилимся, ну просто. Так, я могу просто так сделать.
Navia mentioned that she stayed in touch with Linny and the others after working together. Apparently, they've been at the docks
Traveler, Paimon. Ah, and Miss Charlotte, too.
Would you like a magic pocket?
What sort of gadget is it?
It's a wondrous bag that can be used to carry many things. The water level has returned to normal, but if you see any of your things floating around...
Trick a friend. I wonder which of my friends...
You could just make a friend like Fremine here. Isn't that right, Fremine?
Is this what you meant by I'll help?
To be honest, that sounds pretty sweet. Could I have your contact, please?
Oh,
You sure are working hard to help Fremine socialize.
He was the one who proposed doing this. He even wants to assist in our...
Yes, I was planning to first introduce Pear as an assistant, and later Fremine...
That said, would anyone want to see a diver escape underwater?
Oh, it'll work out. Every journey begins with the first step. He'll...
Lynette, could you come over? Miss Charlotte said...
Got it.
My, that Charlotte is rather perceptive. She got rid of everyone the moment she... Father says that you did a great deal during the latest events. She's very grateful for your contribution.
That's all right. We were more than happy to help.
Oh, I guess you haven't heard. After Lady Farina left, Father and Monsieur Neuvillette opened negotiations, during which he gave Fontaine's gnosis to her as a diplomatic gift.
A diplomatic gift? A gnosis?
Yes, I was quite surprised at first myself. But when I thought it over, it could have been done as an apology for the incident with Lord Child, or as thanks for his help in tying the Furthermore, Father did also lend significant aid to Fontaine and Poisson.
That's true, but this is a gnosis we're
I would agree, but I've also heard that it seems that Monsieur Neuvillette...
So there's some reason for this, though.
I suspect you'll have to ask him about that yourself. Ah, yes, speaking of which, I did...
Isn't he real busy and stuff? But back to the topic. The gnosis was given to the knave, right?
They say that he's returned to Snezhnaya to recover from his wounds. I hear that the recent disaster really did a number on it.
That's true. When you think about it, we've had loads of run-ins with the...
So shocked by such a simple switching of sides?
Father!
Well, what do you know? Come to the docks to see how my children are doing and meet the traveler by chance. Please do not pay my accomplice.
Are you going to take the gnosis back to...
That is our duty as Harbinger. Don't be too preoccupied with sides. The goal of the Fatui concerns not a single place or person, but the entire world. Switching my masks is something I've always done. Well, that depends on many things. No one truly knows what the future holds. What good is honesty? As for you, I very much look forward to our next collaboration. Good things cannot be achieved alone, and you've proved yourselves to be great partners. A vision?
Сейчас будет давай фоткать.
Greetings, Miss Journalist.
Hello. If I'm not mistaken, there are diplomatic channels I'll need to report to take a—
That is correct. So forgive me, but I will not be able to serve as a subject in your article. However, feel free to write as much as you'd like.
I will.
The sea breeze is quite pleasant.
Farewell, Father.
Oh, she has such an intimidating presence. I didn't even dare to take a picture. Thankfully, I've already wrapped up all my pre-scheduled interviews.
Don't be too nervous. Why don't you take a magic pocket before you go? Here, Traveler, Paimon, you take one too.
To move things about?
That's right. Funny. I was giving out magic pockets when we first met too. I guess this must be life. We will all follow our own. All right then. We'll be handing out pockets in some other district.
Well, guess we said Charlotte, huh? Shall we go see what Neverlette's doing?
Скорее всего, видео затянется на несколько часов, на минут дольше. Ну, все равно ничего страшного, думаю, будет такого. Смогу. Долго, в принципе, будет видео. Ну, пофиг, в принципе. Страшного ничего не будет. Все равно людей не так много посмотрят видео, если будут смотреть, конечно. Так, а мне куда? За здание или, блядь? Почему мне отслеживать нету? Отслеживать цель. Да, сюда надо.
The entrance to the fortress! Ooh, he really is there! So, you really are here, Neverlet! Paimon didn't think you were going to have free time.
Really? Oh, I suppose you must have met Mr. Linney. He took the time to greet me early. In any case, you came at a good time. I was just considering reaching out to you to set up a meeting.
Aw, Paimon's glad that you remembered. Thank you for keeping us on your mind. Well, alright, let's have it then. How was Fontaine actually saved?
It is strange how words can often leave a bit...
Whoa. So that's what happened? Fossilor destroyed the divine throne of the Hydro Archon and restored your power to you, transforming you into a fully but Paimon still doesn't quite get what you did to save the—
For me, the authority of the ancient dragons refers to absolute control over the hydro element. Fontanians were incomplete humans born of Egeria's use of the power of the primordial sea, with constitutions similar to that of but so long as those primordial energies remain within them, I could use the ancient dragon's authority to grant them true blood. In other words, when I gave my verdict, Fontanians became true humans, and thus would naturally no longer be dissolved by water from the primordial sea.
Fossilor must have counted on you to make that decision as well. Your verdict was the key to making the prophecy appear to have come true while saving everyone. Yeah, and in a manner of speaking, Fossilor finally managed to fulfill the original Hydro Arch—
It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you wish to ask. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Давай так.
Oh, that's right! They say you've given it to the knave as a diplomatic gift or something!
Leaving aside their intentionality, the two Fatui Harbingers have indeed done much for us during this crisis. Their sole remaining goal in Fontaine, at least at this point, would see the Oratrice has ceased to function. The Hydro Archon's divine throne is now no more. As such, it has lost all meaning for Fontaine. If the Fatui have impure designs, then we might as well accede to their request now, and avoid unnecessary conflict.
What complicated considerations? Paimon thought you were just giving it to them.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I have investigated his case along many avenues, and I have learned that he once fell into an unknown chasm when he was young. But whether it be by sentiment or reason, that should not have been enough to consider him the root cause of the disaster. As for the judgment passed by the Oratrice during the trial, whether it was due to that liability by association or Focalors deliberately using him to buy time for us.
Guess Focalors had Fontanians in mind the whole time. In the end, it was thanks to her that they finally. Hang on a second. Paimon suddenly got it back when Fontanians hadn't yet become real humans. Were the children they.
Life has always flowed like water. Do you recall how
Yeah! Lynette said the fountain is where all the waters in Fontaine converge.
In truth, even those couples did not know that those Oceanids who were blessed within the spring water would.
Paimon sorta gets it.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. You will soon be heading to Natlan, I presume. I'm afraid that I have little talent as a travel guide, so all I can do is tell. As far as I'm aware, Natlan can be said to be a nation of dragons.
A nation of dragons?
No, I suspect that I would not find myself welcome there. Unlike ancient dragons such as myself, the dragons of Natlan have undergone long years of development and evolution. Large numbers of them have entered a form of. Natlan is also the nation of war. War ravages those lands like an undying flame. There is one other piece of information I got incidentally from the harbinger known as the Captain has thrown his hat into the endless ring of war.
Captain. Sounds like a real tough customer. Seriously,
I suggest that you fully prepare yourself before going to Natlan. In the meantime, ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Так, ну давайте последнее.
Yeah, about that. Risley said Farina has already left. What's that all about?
Ah, Lady Farina. The people are only aware that her death sentence has not been carried out. She abdicated the post of Hydro Archon and left affairs related to that title to me, before leaving the Opera House. I related Focalors' words to her faithfully and completely. After hearing that, she simply said that she was tired. Having said that, she then packed her things and moved out of the Opera House. Not unlike how an ordinary...
But she's still got a place...
You need not worry. I will make arrangements to ensure that she will not want for food, clothing, board, or travel. In truth, I am somewhat happy for her. The wear and tear on her spirit will, of course, take time. But now that she no longer has to play the role of Focalors the Hydro Archon, she can finally lay down her burdens.
What about you then? What are your plans now that you've regained your full powers as the Hydro Dragon?
After Focalors passed on, the Oratrice this matter will directly affect our trials. After much careful consideration, I've decided to take over its role.
Looks like you're still considering stuff from the perspective of...
As an elemental dragon, there are indeed many things that I must do. But this power, and this... As such, before I attend to my other responsibilities, I must first and foremost continue to serve Fontaine. Additionally, the Hydro Archon's departure has brought about another problem, which is that the Opera House shall no longer...
That's true. That power was derived from the people's faith in... Wait, but the various mechs and machines in the city are all...
As I am now, I have full command over New Musia, and it can serve as a...
Wow. This ancient dragon...
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
hang on a sec. Paimon still... When we spoke to Linny earlier, he mentioned that your attitude towards giving away... We guessed that there might be some reason for it that only...
No wonder the House of the Hearth is the Fatui's intelligence division. So regarding this specific issue, I was... In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
what's going on?
What next?
The all-devouring narwhal isn't here. I can finally catch the scent of your power. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons. But with something very similar to I'm sure I've encountered something like this before.
I do not know what you speak.
Of course. How could I? You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Remains? I've never heard of it.
According to your parlance, I believe it.
Well, that much is true. After Focalor's divinity faded, she handed her note, but I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Fowl, ever since I was young, and I have never returned to the surface since. It is only natural for those who are greater than humanity to possess. Regardless, you should probably get rid of to live in itself is a blessing. But once a person dies, the bonds he.
What do you mean by that?
No need to fret. These are just my...
This third descender you refer to, who are they?
Master never mentioned them to me. Perhaps if you're interested, though, I could ask him.
Next time. You believe...
I do. Wait. I have a disciple of my own, don't I?
That's what she told me. Whether it would prove useful or not.
The remains of the third descender? So that's what the Gnosis actually are. Paimon just thought they looked like chess pieces. How could they be a person's remains?
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding or special metaphor at play, that...
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that you should check it, which is what...
If she speaks the truth, then I would simply be putting Fontaine at unnecessary risk.
Ну это по поводу старых, типа нынешних архонтов, наверное. Скорее всего, прошлых архонтов остатки остались. Может так.
I had guessed that you might already be familiar with this concept, but I did not expect you to be. That means that the Gnosis, which are exceedingly element compatible and can even enhance elemental abilities. I wonder, does your body also possess similar properties?
Like being able to use elemental powers. No, let's not think about this stuff right now. It just feels comparing the Traveler to the dead third descender and all. That's what you say, but this topic still feels like bad luck. Once Child recovers, let's get some more answers out of him.
I too believe it unwise to make too many blind guesses when information is lacking.
Alright. Whatever the case, it seems like the crisis...
Yes. All of Focalor's efforts were for this.
But she sacrificed herself in the end as a god, and she suffered through all those years as...
I suppose that would be the mystery of a god's will. I suspect not. But once in a while, I too would guess that if wishes were like the clouds in the sky, life flows like water, and rain is the final answer. The water levels may... And what, ultimately, is the difference between the rains...
Надо идти. Так, ладно, давайте вот так вот делаем. Ну что ж, основная сюжетка закончилась. Если честно, я ожидал меньше вот этого сюжетки. Но мне понравилось. Как в основном люди говорят, сюжетка в Фонтейне отличается намного прямо от предыдущих сюжетки, так что да, это пиздец. Наконец-то нормальная сюжетка в Genshin, можно сказать. Так что да. Увидимся, скорее всего, в ивенте. Или где-нибудь еще. Так что всем пока-пока. И до скорых встреч.